Parents, one thing I really, really, really want you guys to understand about the people who are working with your kids, whether it be their teacher, their coaches, in their extracurricular activities, any type of authority figure outside of yourself that's working with your kids, I'm going to tell you this, and I want you guys to hear me well, right? One of their biggest challenges is getting your children to listen, to follow directions, and to pay attention to details. That's one of the biggest, the top 3 things that these people outside of you are having problems with your children. And this is just like at the basic level, right? Like, I didn't even touch on like defiance or disrespect or things like that, because we deal with that stuff too, right? But I'm telling you, at the most basic level, the thing that your kids have the most trouble doing is listening, following instructions, paying attention to details. I promise you, it starts at home. It starts at home. Like, these kids don't listen to anybody because they don't listen to you. And I'm going to tell you guys this, and I'm just being honest. When that's the case and when that happens, what's going to happen is that the kids the people that your children have to encounter outside of you, they're going to start preserving themselves. Meaning they're going to start putting forth less effort in making sure that your kids are doing well in their activities, at school, etc. They're going to put less effort into making sure that your children are doing well, because of the fact that it's difficult to even get them to listen or to follow instructions. So if I'm having a hard time with that, then I'm going to start preserving myself, because I'm not going to keep on putting myself out there, if there's no return on my investment. There's no return on my investment. So I say all this to say this. Parents, you guys are raising children who are not going to give you, or anybody else for that matter, a return on their investment, because they don't care enough to do that. And so what's going to happen is, and what is happening is, adults are self-preserving. They're preserving themselves. They are not putting that much effort into it. They letting your kids get away with not doing their best, because it's like, I'd rather you just not do your best than me trying to pull something out of you that you don't want to come out. So I'll just let you be mediocre, That's what's happening. And that's another reason why these kids can't read. That's another reason why these kids can't write in cursive. Because who the hell is going to sit up there and take the time to teach them how to write in cursive? Well, number one, if they can't read. But number two, if it's so many other things I got to redirect you on because you don't listen, when we going to have time to work on the cursive that y'all always complain about the kids not knowing? And cursive to me is not the end all be all. Like, that's just one of the things I hear parents complain about the most. So that's why I'm bringing that up. But you guys are not going to be able to see your children reaching their full potential if you don't get a handle on this. Because I'm telling you, what's going to happen is the people that are sent to them to help bring that out of them are going to be tired. They're going to be tired of dealing with them. And not only are they going to be tired of dealing with them, but they're going to either, number one, choose to preserve themselves and not put forth much effort, or number two, they're going to find something better to do than to work with your kids. And what's going to happen is, it's going to be a new person dealing with the same crap as the other person, because it's not going to change. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. It'll only get better if y'all intervene. But if you don't intervene and quick, it's not going to get better. Because what's going to happen is, people are going to be like, I can't work with them. I can't work with them. I can't stress myself out. And that's what's going on. Like, as you can see, all these teachers on social media right now, every time I turn around, I see a new teacher complaining about the kids on social media. And I'm telling you, there is so much merit in what they say. They are not exaggerating. It is overstimulating dealing with y'all kids, man. It's overstimulating for so many reasons, but I'm gonna tell you the main reasons. Number one, like I said, they don't listen, they don't follow directions, they don't pay attention to details. That's one reason. The other reason is they do not have a long attention spans. These kids have the attention spans of a flake. They cannot pay attention to save their lives. So not only are you not doing well at listening and following directions, but you can't even pay attention for a long time. The next thing is, because the kids can't pay attention for a long time, we feel as though we have to rush to say stuff. Like, rush to give directions. Like, rush to teach. And hurry up and get to the point, because if we don't, we're going to lose your kids. And shoot, for them, the attention span can be lost within the first 30 seconds. So they need, like, constant motion. Like, a human being can't compete with what these kids need. They can't. Like, I don't know if it's the fact that, you know, they're always on their phones or they're always on electronics, and so there's instant gratification in that space where, you know, you can easily go on TikTok, watch a short video. You can easily go on YouTube, watch a short video, whatever. You know, you click something and then your answer is right there. You click something and what you wanted is right there. So, you know, everything is quick for these kids. But, like, when they're being supervised by adults who are actual people who have blue blood that goes red once the oxygen gets to it, you know, we got heartbeats, we got brains. They can't. They need us to move like we robots, because they're so used to being on electronics, and we're not trying to move like that. We're people, and we know that although this is one aspect of the world where you're online, it is so many different aspects of the world where you're not going to get that instant gratification. So as adults, we know that, but they don't know that. You know, and it's difficult to get them to see that. It's difficult. So getting children out of the mindset of thinking that things have to be quick. Like, why should I have to rush to give you instructions? You should be focused enough to listen to the instructions, because you know whatever I'm telling you is either going to help you grow, it's going to keep you safe, or it's going to teach you something. So it's something like we gotta figure out how to get these kids to have longer attention spans. Like, I remember being younger and, you know, not really necessarily wanting to sit and listen, and, you know, I get it, you know, but like, we had attention spans where we could actually be occupied with something for an hour. You know, we can actually, like, do something, like play a game. Like, these kids don't even play games anymore. Games help you with critical thinking. Games help you with creative thinking. Like, they help you with strategy. So these kids not even playing games no more, because they don't have the attention span for it. Like, they really don't have the attention span to sit and learn how to play a game and use strategy. They can't do it. They are not patient. They are not patient. And then the other thing is, they think each and every one of them on an individual level believes that the world revolves around them. And part of that is their parents' fault. Parents, I gotta tell you, it's your fault. Because you're spoiling your kids. You spoil them. You're spoiling them. You're making them think that the world is theirs and just theirs. Like, I'm gonna tell my I tell my kids all the time, if I had them, look, the world is yours. But right after I say something like that, I also gotta follow up with, this world belongs to other people too, though. And you got to recognize that. So, yeah, anything in this world you can have if you put your mind to it, if you work hard for it. But you got to understand there's other people that want to work hard too. So how you going to be able to do what you want to do and make sure that you're not stepping on nobody else's toes? You got to be emotionally intelligent. You got to know that the world don't just revolve around you. You got to be able to look around and look at your surroundings and say, hey, where can my self-awareness take me? How can my self-awareness help me build relationships with other people? How can my self-awareness help me cooperate with other people? Like, as a person, as a human being, these are things that you have to learn how to do in order to get from point A to point B in life. So we can't have these kids walking around thinking the world revolves around them, because it doesn't, especially when they're in a group setting. And especially when, as parents, you don't have the capacity to make sure that your kids are having one-on-one experiences. Like, and what I mean by that is, like, if we're in a school setting, right? It's a public school setting. Your kids is going to be learning what everybody else's kids is learning, right? But let's say you're one of those parents where you're like, listen, I want my kid to have a unique experience. Well, if that's the case, that might mean that you might have to homeschool. And you may be one of those parents that say, look, no, I really want my kid to have a unique experience. So I don't even want them to have the type of homeschool where it's like online school. No. Like, I want them to have their own teacher who teaches them directly and gives them creative lessons and things like that, right? So let's say you one of those types of parents. You got to pay for that. You got to have the money for that. You got to have the money for that. And guess what? Once you pay for it, once you make that investment, you got to make sure that your kids are going to listen and that they're going to follow directions. They're going to pay attention to details. Because otherwise, you'd be spending that money for no reason. That's what I mean by, number one, making sure that you have a return on your investments with your children. And then number two, having like that tailored experience. Like, unless you're paying top dollar for a private tutor or a private coach or a private mentor for your child, they gotta learn how to listen. Even if you had the money to do it, they still gotta learn how to listen. But especially if you don't have the money to do it, because what's going to happen is they're going to be in a group setting. They're going to be occupying a space with other people, and that's just that. And, you know, that's kind of the ramifications or the consequences, I should say, that comes from having children while you're not 100% financially stable, or while you don't have passive income streams. You know, that's what happens. You have to kind of make sure that your kids know how to get along with the group, because you don't have the resources to create individualized or unique experiences for them. So they kind of got to get along with the group. I tell people all the time, listen, if you can't afford, in America, if you can't afford to send your children to private school, then 9 times out of 10, if your child gets into any type of trouble after the age of 18, you probably can't afford a lawyer either. You're probably going to have a public defender too. And that's just that. And so, if that's the case, you need not step out of line, because them public defenders ain't going to do but so much for you if you get in trouble. So, to prevent anything like that from happening, teach your kids how to listen, pay attention, and do all that stuff now. Because if you don't, they gonna be where they gonna end up. Where they really gonna end up, you know? I mean, they say that there's a school to prison pipeline, and I believe that because, of course, I read things about it. I've done research on it. I've done papers on it. But I would like to even introduce a new idea to the world, because I believe that there's a womb to prison pipeline. There's a womb to prison pipeline. And that's really what we need to be getting into. Because is that real? Because it's not that, oh, these kids are being raised amazingly at home, and then once they get to school, then there are things inside of the school that are going to directly contribute to them landing a position in jail or prison. Nah, that's not how it's going. That's not how it's going. People are coming from fucked up homes. People are coming from fucked up wombs. I'm sorry. Shoot, people is coming from fucked up sperm. There's a womb to prison pipeline. Ain't got shit to do with the school. Like, we can say it do, based on the disciplinary rules and, you know, the suspensions and all that. You know, all that stuff plays a part in it. So we can say it do. But I guarantee you, even if we looked into everyone who fell victim to the school to prison pipeline, and we looked at all of their home life, and then we looked at the habits of the mother, and then we looked at the habits of the father, we will understand that regardless of what school they went to, regardless of how many times they got suspended from school, they had no chance. They had no chance. So, what are we going to do? Like, are you going to keep having kids? Like, are you going to keep doing that? Or are we going to say, hey, let me rise up to the occasion for the ones that I have? Because it's a womb to prison pipeline, honey. It don't have nothing to do with these schools. There's a lot of research on it. And there's a huge conversation. But I think we need to broaden that conversation and include womb to prison. Because something ain't right. Something ain't right here. It starts at home.
One of the most difficult parts about being a parent is that there aren't any rules. That's exactly why I created Parental Guidance. This is a home-based curriculum that includes a textbook and an online course. This curriculum was constructed to assist parents in teaching their children about social emotional intelligences. We also key in on executive functioning and positive youth development. This includes self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, building and managing relationships, making responsible decisions, personal development, and self-evaluation. There are 30 lesson plans that include rationale and objectives, discussions and journaling, activities, and ongoing tips for parents. The online course teaches you how to successfully implement this curriculum with your children. Don't you need parental guidance?